The Blue House Dream. The waning sun painted Lily's back with warmth as she knelt, the earthy perfume of moist soil a balm to her senses. Petunias, a vibrant mix of violet and ivory, cascaded from their clay pots, a splash of life against the aged fence boards. She pinched off a spent blossom, her fingertips acquiring a patina of earth. This pocket of garden, nestled beside the kitchen, was her refuge. Here, she pondered, envisioned, escaped the minor worries that occasionally shadowed her otherwise idyllic existence. The house, fondly dubbed Azure, stood watch behind her. Hardly a mansion, it was a two-story dwelling cloaked in a cheerful, robin's egg hue, brightened by white trim, and a broad, welcoming porch. Yet, it was her domain. Or rather, theirs. Hers and Tom's. The slam of the screen door heralded Tom's arrival. "Need an extra hand out there, love," he called. Lily smiled, pivoting towards him. He still wore his workday attire, a worn denim shirt and jeans, his hair endearingly mussed. Even after a decade, seeing him sparked a familiar flutter in her chest. "Just admiring the garden's progress. Dinner's nearly ready. Could you set the table?" A grin stretched across his face, etching smile lines around his eyes. "Consider it done, Gardner." He pressed a quick kiss to her cheek before retreating inside. The scent of rosemary and garlic drifted in her wake as she entered the kitchen, a compact and cozy space echoing the house's exterior with its azure walls. Sunlight poured through the window above the sink, highlighting the dance of microscopic particles in the air. Tom had already arranged their mismatched tableware, a quirky collection reflecting their shared history and evolving tastes. "Something smells incredible," he remarked, leaning against the counter, watching her tend to the simmering sauce. "Rough day?" "Not too taxing," Lily responded, adding a dash of seasoning. Mrs. Henderson finally committed to the living room drapes. "After 3 weeks and endless swatches, I thought I'd crack." Tom chuckled. That woman could haggle with an angel. They dined at the snug wooden table, their conversation flowing effortlessly. They recounted the day's events, discussed the impending town fair, and addressed the persistent drip in the bathroom faucet that Tom promised to tackle that weekend. Simple pleasures, everyday moments, yet these formed the very core of their life together, woven into a rich tapestry of affection and contentment. After the meal, as Tom tackled the dishes, Lily ambled through the rooms, a steaming mug of chamomile tea warming her hands. She paused in the living room, her fingertips gliding over the smooth, cool surface of the blue plaster. The color invariably calmed her, evoking memories of sun-drenched days by the sea. She cherished the way the afternoon light filtered through the airy curtains, bathing the space in a soft, ethereal radiance. She recalled the day they first laid eyes on the place, years prior. Shabby, neglected, yet she had glimpsed its innate potential, the charm concealed beneath layers of peeling paint and an overgrown yard. And Tom, perpetually optimistic, had perceived it too. They had invested their energy and passion into its revival, transforming it into the welcoming and comforting home it now embodied. Every room resonated with a cherished memory, a significant moment. An influx of fondness surged through her. This was her haven, her sanctuary. This was where she belonged. This was her azure dream realized. Yet, lately, a subtle disquiet had begun to creep in. A sense that something felt amiss. A persistent notion that the bedrock beneath her was less stable than she had believed. She dismissed the feeling, attributing it to mere fatigue. But the seed of uncertainty had been sown, and it was beginning to take root. A mysterious brochure. The aroma of burnt toast hung thick in the air, a testament to Tom's early morning attempt at breakfast. I fanned the air, coughing slightly. "Seriously, honey, you need to get the hang of this toaster." He chuckled, already halfway out the door, briefcase in hand. "Practice makes perfect, right? Gotta run. Big meeting today." He pecked me on the cheek, the scent of his cologne, a sharp, woody fragrance, lingering as the door clicked shut. Sighing, I attacked the offending toast with a butter knife, scraping away the charcoal remains. As I tidied up, I noticed Tom's briefcase sitting askew by the coat rack, a corner slightly unzipped. Annoyed, I reached to straighten it, my fingers brushing against something stiff and glossy inside. Curiosity piqued, I unzipped the bag a little further. Nestled amongst the usual paperwork was a thick, full-color brochure. It wasn't a business document, not with its vibrant sunset hues bleeding across the cover. I pulled it out. Serenity awaits, your dream home is calling. The title mocked me. My breath hitched. The image on the cover was undeniably, unmistakably, my house. My pulse hammered in my ears. I flipped through the pages, each one a fresh wave of disbelief washing over me. Professional photographs showcased every room of our home, bathed in flattering light. Our living room, with its carefully curated bookshelves and worn leather armchair. Our kitchen, gleaming under the spotlights. Even the master bedroom, with my grandmother's antique quilt draped across the bed. Every detail was meticulously captured, right down to the chipped paint on the windowsill in the guest room, a flaw I'd been meaning to fix for months. The descriptions were effusive, bordering on ridiculous. A sun-drenched haven of tranquility. Impeccably maintained with timeless charm. A rare opportunity to own a piece of paradise. A piece of paradise that I apparently didn't know was for sale. The price listed on the back page made my stomach churn, $750,000. $750,000. Enough to, what? Run away. Start a new life. My fingers trembled as I flipped back to the front, searching for any clue, any explanation. The real estate company's logo was discreet, a small, stylized tree with the words Oakwood Realty beneath it. I didn't recognize the name. We hadn't been looking to move. We hadn't even talked about moving. This had to be a mistake. A cruel joke. But Tom, why would he have this in his briefcase? I grabbed my phone, my fingers clumsy as I dialed his number. It rang and rang, finally diverting to voicemail. Hey, it's Tom. Leave a message. Tom, I said, my voice shaking slightly, it's me. Listen, I found something. A brochure. About the house. Call me. As soon as you can. Please. I hung up, the brochure suddenly feeling like a lead weight in my hand. The burnt toast, the big meeting, the lingering scent of his cologne, everything felt tainted, coated with a layer of suspicion I couldn't shake. I stared at the picture of my house on the cover, no longer seeing a haven, but a question mark etched in brick and mortar. What was going on? Secrets and nervous laughter. The brochure lay on the kitchen island, pristine against the scarred butcher block. I'd carefully positioned it there that morning, a silent accusation waiting to be discovered. Tom whistled as he walked in, tossing his keys onto the counter with a practiced nonchalance that grated on my nerves. Honey, I'm home. What smells so good? He asked, already reaching for the cookie jar. Nothing, I said flatly, my gaze fixed on the brochure. Unless you consider broken trust a particularly appealing aroma. He paused, his hand hovering over the ceramic lid. The whistling stopped. He glanced at the brochure, then back at me, a flicker of confusion, or was it apprehension? Crossing his face. What's this? He asked, his voice a little too bright. He picked it up, flipping through the glossy pages with exaggerated interest. Oh, this old thing. Must be a mistake. Junk mail, probably. He chuckled, a short, brittle sound that echoed in the suddenly silent kitchen. Nervous laughter. That's what it was. I hadn't heard that sound from him in years. It used to come out when he was a kid, and had broken one of his mother's prized possessions. A mistake. I repeated, my voice dangerously soft. A mistake that includes professional photographs of our house, a detailed description of its features, and, what's this? An open house scheduled for next Saturday. He avoided my eyes, busying himself with straightening the brochure on the counter. Well, you know how these things are. The real estate agents are aggressive. They probably just pulled the info from public records. Aggressive enough to stage our living room with those hideous throw pillows. I gestured to the photograph on the cover. And to know that we replaced the roof last year. Public records don't usually include that kind of detail, Tom. He finally looked up, his expression a carefully constructed mask of innocence. Look, Lily, I swear, I have no idea how that got here. Maybe your mom sent it. She's always complaining about how much yard work we have. My mother. He was blaming my mother. The absurdity of it almost made me laugh. Almost. Don't insult my intelligence, Tom, I said, my voice rising. Just tell me the truth. What is going on? He looked down again, fiddling with the corner of the brochure, creasing the glossy paper. The silence stretched, thick and heavy, punctuated only by the rhythmic ticking of the grandfather clock in the hall. The aroma of unsweetened coffee wafted from the mug I'd left on the counter. It's nothing, he mumbled, still avoiding my gaze. Seriously, Lily, don't worry about it. I'll call the agency and tell them to take us off their mailing list. He reached for me, but I stepped back, the distance between us feeling vast and unbridgeable. The brochure lay on the counter, a physical manifestation of the chasm that was growing between us, filled with secrets and nervous laughter. Shadows and secret meetings. The gas station coffee tasted like burnt rubber, but Lily gulped it down anyway. Her hands, slick with nervous sweat, gripped the steering wheel. Tom had left 20 minutes ago, whistling some infuriatingly cheerful tune, as he backed out of the driveway. She'd waited, heart hammering against her ribs, before pulling out herself. Keeping a safe distance, she followed his silver sedan through the morning traffic. Each red light felt like an eternity, each turn a potential opportunity to lose him. He headed towards the nicer part of town, the area with manicured lawns and houses that whispered of old money. Definitely not his usual route to the office. He parked in front of their house. Their house. A chill snaked down her spine. Lily pulled over a block away, killing the engine. Her breath fogged the windshield. She watched as a man emerged from a dark blue BMW. He was tall, impeccably dressed in a charcoal suit, and carried himself with an air of quiet authority. Tom greeted him with a handshake that looked far too enthusiastic. A salesman's handshake. A liar's handshake. They stood on the sidewalk for a moment, the stranger's gaze sweeping over their home. Lily zoomed in with her phone camera, the screen shaky in her trembling hands. She couldn't hear what they were saying, but she saw Tom gesturing towards the front door, a wide, practiced smile plastered on his face. Then, the unthinkable. Tom unlocked the door and ushered the men inside. Lily felt a wave of nausea wash over her. It was happening. He was really doing it. Selling their home, their sanctuary, the place where they had built a life, without so much as a conversation. She forced herself to breathe, to think. Panic wouldn't help. Action would. She got out of the car, the slam of the door echoing in the quiet street. Keeping to the shadows of the trees, she moved closer to the house, her shoes crunching softly on the fallen leaves. The front door was ajar, a sliver of darkness inviting her in. She pressed her ear to the gap. She could hear Tom's voice, smooth and persuasive, like honey laced with poison. Original hardwood floors, as you can see. We've taken meticulous care of the property. The stranger's voice was lower, more measured. The kitchen appears recently renovated. Indeed, Tom replied, a touch too quickly. Just last year. Top-of-the-line appliances, granite countertops. Lily pushed the door open a crack further. She could see them now, standing in the living room. The stranger was running his hand along the mantelpiece, his expression unreadable. Tom was watching him, his body tense, expectant. Lily knew she should burst in, confront him, demand answers. But something held her back. A strange, morbid curiosity. A need to know just how far this betrayal went. She wanted to see the whole charade, witness the full extent of his deception before she exposed him. So, she remained hidden in the shadows, a silent observer in her own life, as her husband sold their future to a stranger. Advice from Daisy. The bell above Sugar and Spice offered a saccharine jingle, grating against Lily's raw nerves. Usually, the bakery's warm embrace of cinnamon and yeast soothed her soul, but today, it amplified the sting of her fracturing reality. Daisy, stationed behind the counter, her apron dusted white like the peaks of a powdered mountain, registered Lily's arrival with widened eyes. "Hon, you look like you've stared down a ghost, and not a friendly one." Lily sank onto a stool, the cool vinyl a stark contrast to her inner turmoil. "Eclairs," she managed, her voice muffled. "The family-sized box. And, maybe a tanker of buttercream." Daisy arched a brow, but her hands moved with practiced grace, securing the sugary haul. Paid for and clutched like a precious infant, Daisy steered Lily toward a secluded table in the back, a haven from the lunchtime bustle. Subtlety abandoned, Lily tore into the box, devouring an eclair in swift, messy bites, a sugary smear adorning her cheek. "He's selling the house, Daisy. Behind my back." The words rushed out, a torrent of disbelief and bitterness. Daisy's usual effervescence dimmed, replaced by a quiet concern. She reached for Lily's hand, her touch a grounding warmth. "Ben? Selling the house? The place you poured your heart into? The one with that ludicrous rose garden you obsess over?" A nod, tears threatening to spill. "He even had a buyer lined up. I found the contract, hidden." The betrayal was a palpable blow, a knot twisting tighter with each shallow breath. Daisy offered unwavering attention, her brow creased in concern. No trite reassurances, just a solid presence as Lily unleashed her fury, confusion, the ache of utter betrayal. When the storm subsided, leaving Lily drained, Daisy squeezed her hand. "Right," she said, her voice resolute. "Deep breaths. We'll tackle this. But first, caffeine. And another eclair. Colors drained from your face." Fortified by sugar and steam, Daisy leaned in, a mischievous glint igniting her eyes. "Listen, you're worth more than this. Too clever to be steamrolled. He wants to play dirty. Fine. We escalate." Lily blinked, lost. "What are you suggesting?" A familiar grin resurfaced on Daisy's face. "He wants to sneak a sale. Let's make him rue the day he considered it. Let's render the house unsellable. In the most delightful fashion." She paused, a wicked spark dancing in her gaze. "Picture it, glitter detonations. Garden gnomes engaged in questionable activities. A residence so utterly unforgettable, prospective buyers will flee at the mere mention of the address. Lottery fever. Tom. I won. I actually won." Lily's joyous cry pierced the air as she waved the crinkled lottery ticket like a victorious banner. Tom sputtered, nearly scalding himself with his tepid coffee. "Won what?" "The church bake-off," he quipped, eyes narrowed against the sight of the digits thrust inches from his face. "Don't be daft." "The lottery. The jackpot. I checked the results online, all 6 numbers matched." She practically vibrated, a human tuning fork humming with glee. Tom snatched the ticket, his brow furrowing in concentration as he meticulously cross-referenced the numbers against his phone's screen. A slow, incredulous grin began to dawn. "Well, I'll be a monkey's uncle," Lily cut him off mid-sentence, already wriggling into her coat. "Let's go. Celebrations are in order. Pet shop first. Bartholomew needs a companion." "Bartholomew? The goldfish?" "Yes, Bartholomew. He deserves a friend." And after that, she paused for dramatic effect, retail therapy awaits. Tom, still struggling to process the information, could only nod, dumbfounded. The day transformed into a whirlwind of impulsive spending. A fluffy Persian kitten joined Bartholomew in their suddenly claustrophobic apartment. Lily then snagged a designer handbag, its price tag exceeding their monthly rent. The real chaos, however, arrived in the form of 2 sweating men wrestling a colossal, multi-hued bouncy castle through the door. Tom returned to find Lily, crowned with a plastic tiara and sporting a crazed grin, overseeing the inflatable's noisy inflation. Surprise, she shrieked above the drone of the electric pump. Isn't it amazing? We can bounce our troubles away. Tom simply gaped. Lily, what on earth? Don't you adore it? A shadow of disappointment flickered across her face. I thought it would be fun. We can host bouncy castle extravaganzas. He raked a hand through his hair, the enormity of the situation finally hitting him. Lily, this is madness. Where will we even put this monstrosity? And what about the money? We can't simply, don't fret about finances, darling. We're loaded now. We can afford a larger place. Complete with a bouncy castle chamber. She clapped her hands together, her eyes alight with manic energy. He grasped her hands, forcing her to meet his gaze. Lily, listen to me. We need to be sensible. We have to consider the future. We can't squander it all on bouncy castles. Her radiant face clouded over, replaced by a look of bewilderment. But I thought you'd be thrilled. Tom sighed. He cherished Lily's impulsiveness, her vivacious spirit, but this bordered on lunacy. Something felt off. I am happy, sweetheart, but this is all escalating too quickly. Let's just take a breath, okay? We can discuss this rationally. Perhaps seek professional financial guidance. Lily glanced downwards, the sparkle extinguished from her eyes. The bouncy castle loomed behind them, an absurd monument to her ephemeral whimsy. A tentative smile touched her lips. Okay, Tom, she murmured, squeezing his hands gently. Okay. An immense wave of relief washed over Tom, yet a persistent disquiet lingered. Something about this whole scenario simply didn't compute. The truth revealed. Another dress, Lily. Tom's voice was tight, controlled, but the tremor of anger was unmistakable. He held up the receipt, the flimsy paper crinkling in his fist. 300 pounds. This week. You bought a new coat yesterday. Lily didn't flinch. She was perched on the edge of the chaise lounge, painting her nails a shade of crimson that seemed to mock the pallor of his face. Winter's coming, Tom. A girl needs options. Options we can't afford. He tossed the receipt onto the mahogany coffee table. It landed amongst a scattering of fashion magazines, each cover a glossy indictment of their current financial reality. The credit card statement came today. It's astronomical, Lily. We talked about this. She blew on her nails, the scent of acetone sharp and stinging in the air. Don't lecture me, Tom. I'm not a child. He ran a hand through his hair, the strands already thinning, a physical manifestation of the stress that had been eating him alive. Then act like an adult. We have a budget, Lily. A tight one. And you're blowing it to smithereens. Her eyes narrowed, the playful facade she usually wore cracking to reveal the flint beneath. Oh, I see. Is this about the rainy day fund you're always going on about? The one you're so desperately trying to squirrel away? It's about our future, Lily. About security. About. He stopped, the words catching in his throat. Lily rose, her movements fluid and graceful, like a predator stalking its prey. She moved closer, the clack of her heels on the polished floor echoing in the sudden silence. About selling the house, you mean? The blood drained from Tom's face. He stumbled back, hitting the edge of the table. The magazines scattered, a chaotic mess of bright colors against the dark wood. How did you know? A cruel smile played on her lips. I have my ways, Tom. Let's just say a little bird told me. Or rather, a very indiscreet estate agent who enjoys a little gossip over a lunchtime martini. She paused, letting the weight of her words sink in. So tell me, darling. Where were you planning on sending me? A nice little flat in Croydon? Or were you thinking of something even smaller, something more manageable? He couldn't meet her gaze. Shame and fear coiled in his stomach, a toxic cocktail of guilt. He'd imagined this confrontation 100 times, rehearsed his lines, prepared his justifications. But now, faced with her cold fury, he was speechless. He felt smaller than he had ever been. "Well, Tom," she pressed, her voice dangerously soft. "Cat got your tongue? Or are you too busy calculating how much you'll make off my options?" The crimson nails tapped impatiently on her thigh. The room felt cold, despite the roaring fire in the hearth. The scent of burning oak mixed with the harsh chemical odor of her nail polish, a strange and unsettling combination that perfectly mirrored the unraveling of their lives. A countryside surprise. The silence inside the car felt like a physical barrier. Lily's gaze remained fixed on the passing landscape, the emerald vista offering no solace to her churning insides. Not a word had passed between them since departing the lawyer's sterile office. The signed documents lay heavily on their shared space. The tires crunched on the gravel as Tom guided the car to a halt before a long driveway. "Just come see," he offered, his voice a fragile plea. Reluctantly, she followed him. The path wound toward a sprawling, aged cottage, almost swallowed by the embrace of ancient oaks. Honeysuckle vines scaled the stone walls, their fragrance a heady perfume in the still air. A solitary swing danced gently beneath one of the gnarled branches. She halted abruptly. "Tom, what is all this?" He faced her, eyes brimming with expectation. "This is why I sold the house, Lily. This is what I've been working toward." He encompassed their surroundings with a grand, sweeping gesture. "This is for us. A clean slate. Remember all those times you dreamed of a life beyond the city's clamor? A garden, fresh air, a chance to simply be." The hurt lingered, a throbbing pulse, yet a tendril of something new, bewilderment, perhaps even a tentative hope, began to unfurl within her. "I envisioned it as a surprise," he admitted, his tone now laced with entreaty. "I know I should have confided in you. God, Lily, I am aware of that. But I craved to witness your reaction, to offer you something truly exceptional. Something you deserved." Lily drifted towards the cottage, her fingers brushing against the time-worn facade. Its beauty was undeniable, radiant sunlight catching the diamond panes of the leaded glass, the atmosphere alive with the drone of bees. Yet, the loveliness could not mask the sharp edge of his betrayal. "You divested us of our home, Tom," she stated, her voice a mere breath. "The home we nurtured together. You unilaterally made an enormous decision that impacted us both, without a single word of discussion. How could you?" The honeysuckle's fragrance morphed into a stifling sweetness. He moved to close the space between them, reaching for her hand, but she recoiled. I know. It was foolish. Monumentally selfish. I became consumed by the dramatic gesture, failing to consider how it would affect you. I was crippled by the fear you'd reject the idea, that you'd resist leaving the city, so I succumbed to panic." He dragged a hand through his hair, his expression a mask of remorse. "I'm truly sorry, Lily. Deeply sorry. I should have placed my trust in you. I should have engaged you in conversation. I faltered badly, and I will understand if you are consumed with anger and unable to offer forgiveness." He met her gaze, his eyes reflecting a pain that mirrored her own. The birdsong, once idyllic, now sounded like a jeering chorus. Lily surveyed the cottage, the swing gently swaying, then back to Tom. His gesture of goodwill had unexpectedly blossomed into a tangled thicket of emotions. Building dreams together. The engine clicked off, its metallic sigh fading into the stillness. Lily wove her fingers into Tom's, finding reassurance in the familiar grit of his palms. Before them, the blue house stood sentinel on the cracked drive. Sunlight, bleeding across the horizon, brushed the clapboard in hues of peach and rose, softening its starkness, lending it an almost welcoming air. "So," Tom began, the single syllable echoing with unspoken anxieties. "Where do we go from here?" Lily's answering squeeze was firm. "From here, we stay." He visibly relaxed, the worry lines etched on his face easing. "Seriously? You're absolutely certain?" "Certain." Running won't fix us, will it? It's just escape. We made a life here, Tom. It's worth fighting for. But only if we're completely open. No more half-truths. No more shadows. A sharp nod, his throat worked. Understood. Completely. I swear. The next morning arrived, banishing the gloom of recent weeks with its crystalline light. Armed with hand tools and seed packets, they set upon the neglected garden. The soil, cool and redolent, stained their hands. Lily tucked bright petunias into the earth, splashes of vibrant color against the dark loam. Tom, surprisingly deft, settled fragile lavender starts into their prepared beds. Remember planting those roses? He asked, nodding toward a thorny thicket struggling to bud. You were convinced you'd kill them within a week. A genuine laugh bubbled from Lily, a sound she'd missed dearly. And now? Flourishing. Maybe they just needed the right tending. Her eyes met his, the unspoken meaning hanging between them. Later, sprawled on the rug amidst a chaos of scribbled notes and empty containers, they charted their course forward, a tapestry of shared aspirations. They dissected their finances, airing the fears that had festered in silence. They spoke of their dreams, the hushed hopes they'd been too timid to articulate. Lily, a small pottery business online. For Tom, a woodworking shop, nestled in the back corner of their property. Italy, someday, maybe. We need to rebuild our connection, Lily murmured, sketching idly on a notepad. A dedicated time, weekly. Just us. No phones, no distractions. To talk about anything, everything, even the hard stuff. Tom's gaze locked with hers. And no more snap decisions made independently. No matter how small. He reached for her hand. Building a future together, right? Lily smiled, a genuine curve of her lips. Building a future together. The words resonated, solid and tangible, the first stone laid on the path to a future they could finally envision. Bathed in the warm glow of the living room lamp, the blue house felt less like a shackle and more like a promise. A promise they both intended to uphold.